Must be seconds to go now.
It is, yeah. 4 minutes.
Okay, it's 7 o'clock.
Okay. Good evening, councillors. Welcome to full meeting of the Sandwich Town Council on the 2nd of June 2025. Chair's opening remarks. If I could start with some myself and then we'll go into the agenda itself. But can I first of all give out a few thank yous to start with? I'd like to thank my fellow councillors for electing me to serve the council and the town as mayor and chair for the coming year. And I hope all those that attended the mayor making ceremony just over 2 weeks ago had an enjoyable evening. I'd like to congratulate Councillor Wiles on being successfully elected as Deputy Mayor for the coming year, and I'm sure he'll continue to show his full commitment to the Council and his fellow councillors, and the staff, of course, as well. I'd like to thank Councillor Ripley for organising the tourist information stall at the Saturday Market. It was a great success last year over the summer period, and appreciate the effort that you put into it, and hopefully we will have some success this year as well. Okay, and I want to thank the councillors that attended the overview and scrutiny meeting at Dover District Council on the 19th of May to raise concerns about the parking strategy and the proposed increase in off-street parking fees for Sandwich. Alongside residents, they successfully challenged the strategy, and the committee agreed to request referring the strategy back to the DDC Cabinet. I just had an update from Councillor Marie that it was discussed again tonight, and that has been reinforced that it will go back to the DDC Cabinet to look at it again. Is that right, Councillor Marie?
Yes.
Thank you very much. On that particular subject, I've separately been in contact with DDC Cabinet itself. I'm expecting to meet with the new portfolio holder, Councillor Lim Wright, within which the parking strategy sits, before the strategy is actually discussed at the Cabinet meeting. So I will be doing that myself alongside what's happened within the formal meeting structure. I'd like to welcome our new KCC councillor, Peter Evans, to his first full meeting of the Town Council. Hopefully we can develop a close and positive working relationship in the future. And I took the opportunity in our pre-meeting that we had to mention two very important things to the town: the toll bridge itself and the issues that that's causing, and also, dare I say it, a bus stop out alongside the Guildhall forecourt. So just finally, a couple of the upcoming events to mention. This coming weekend is Le Weekend. That will celebrate our proximity to France and all things French. We can expect a host of activities across the town, including the Medieval Centre in the Quay, Market Street, and on the Guildhall forecourt as well. Congratulations to Councillor Mark Morehouse for organising this event with his group of volunteers, and I'm sure it will be a great success. And then finally, I also wanted to mention the Great Big Green Week that will run from Saturday the 7th of June, so that's from next Saturday, through to Saturday the 14th of June. It's a UK-wide celebration of community action to tackle climate change and protect nature. The key element of this is that events are actually organised locally, and thanks to our staff, and in particular Lindsay, we have a great list of events and activities planned over the week. Can I ask all councillors to please promote it in any which way you can, because there's something on the agenda over the week for everyone, from young to old, so let's hope the take-up is particularly good. Thank you very much. Moving on to agenda item 2, apologies received.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. So we have apologies from Councillor Danielle Carter, a work commitment, Councillor Paul Carter, personal commitment, Councillor Nick Gray, travel commitment, and Councillor Victoria Tomlins, travel commitment.
Thank you. Agenda item 3, declarations of interest. This is to receive any declarations of disposable pecuniary interest from members in respect of business to be transacted on the agenda. Has anybody got any items that they'd like to make a statement against? No? Thank you. Okay, agenda item 4. This is minutes of the full council meeting and committee. So there's a number, quite a few to go through. So the first, we've been asked to approve the minutes of the extraordinary council meeting held on the 7th of April 2025 and to consider any matters arising from those minutes not covered elsewhere in the agenda. Has anybody got any comments on those minutes? And if not, is somebody happy to propose them? Councillor Black, second them. Councillor Anderson, and if we can take a vote on those. And that's unanimous.
Yeah.
Thank you. The second set is to approve the minutes of the extraordinary council meeting held on the 13th of May 2025 and to consider any matters arising from those minutes not covered elsewhere in this agenda. Open for comments. Councillor Black.
Yes, under this one we were talking about the cycling and walking infrastructure. With the encouragement of one of my colleagues, I was told not to hold back my comments. I did actually make some pretty strong comments about the paucity of data and the poor quality of the data under the local consultations. I do note that that's not included. I would like that included because it was really dreadful. The quality of the data provided was dreadful. I won't use the word I used last time.
It's been
Okay.
Yeah.
Any other comments on those minutes? And if not, is somebody happy to propose them subject to that addition from Councillor Black? Somebody propose them, please. Councillor Fortescue. And seconding, Councillor Pennington, happy to second them. And a vote?
Yeah, I'm abstaining due to I turned up late. But
Okay,
Yeah.
two abstentions.
2 abstentions. Thank you. The next set, to approve the minutes of the annual town council meeting held on the 15th of May and to consider any matters arising from those minutes not covered elsewhere in the agenda. Any comments on those?
just like to make one comment, Mr. Mayor, please. So there's been talking regarding the town regarding the voting that took place. There was 2 votes that took place for both seats. Just wanted to clarify, I have told many residents in the town that it was legitimate. It was under the guidance of the town clerk, and that should be noted on, hopefully, on the minutes, because obviously a few residents. Also, I'd like to do is formally welcome yourself and the deputy mayor to your seat.
Thank you. Did you want to say anything on that, or just apart from say yes, you're right?
Yes, yes, you're correct.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you. Is somebody happy to propose those minutes? Councillor Marie, second. Councillor Ripley. You went there.
Sorry, who proposed? Was that Councillor Ripley?
Yes,
Yeah.
seconded. Councillor Marie proposed.
Thank you. Thank you, Councillor Ripley.
And a vote. So all bar Councillor Franklin, who was absent.
One abstained, yeah.
Moving on to the next set, that's to approve the minutes of the mayor making ceremony held on the 15th of May 2025 and to consider any matters arising from those minutes not covered elsewhere in the agenda.
Opposed? I'll second.
Councillor Marie.
Marie and Black.
Mhm.
And vote.
One abstention.
One
Yeah.
abstention. Thank you. To receive the minutes of the planning committee meeting held on the 14th of April 2025. Councillor Morehouse.
Yes, agenda item. Sorry. Agenda item 12, concerning the meeting of the tree warden. I'm afraid it's mea culpa. I allowed myself to come double booked and consequently did not attend that meeting, so I'm arranging another meeting in July.
Thank you very much.
I apologise profusely.
Noted.
Mhm.
You'll be raising that at the next planning committee meeting as well, I hope. Just to apologise again, I suppose. Anybody happy to propose those minutes? Councillor Franklin, second. Councillor Mallet, and the vote. Thank you.
One abstention. Yeah.
Nearly there. To receive the minutes of the Finance and General Purposes Committee meeting held on the 16th of April. Any comments on those? If not, would somebody be happy to propose them? Councillor Breen and Councillor Wiles are seconding them
Mhm.
in the votes. 2 abstentions.
2 abstentions.
And finally, to receive the minutes of the Heritage and Townscape Committee meeting held on the 19th of March 2025. Proposing Councillor Morehouse,
Mhm.
I'll second.
Councillor Black seconding, and a vote. 1 abstention.
1. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Moving on to agenda item 5, that's payment schedules. We have 4 payment schedules. I'd like to propose that we look at them together, and they are attachments 2A, 2B, 2C, and 2D. And these were taken to the Finance and General Purposes Committee meeting last week and discussed. So if anybody has any comments, I'll take them now, and if not, I'll propose that we go to a vote on each of them. Any comments? No? Okay, so it's to receive and approve the Sandwich Town Council payment schedule for the end of April 2025, including written back items totaling 10,427.66p. To receive and approve the Sandwich Town Council payment schedule for mid-May 2025, totaling £34,067.56p. To receive and approve the Sandwich Town Council payment schedule for the end of May 2025, totaling £1,449.08. And then finally, to receive and approve the Sandwich Town Council payment schedule for payments that missed April 2025, totaling £270.33. Somebody happy to propose those?
Yeah.
Councillor Marie and Councillor Anderson seconding them.
Mhm.
And the vote. Thank you very much. Agenda item 6, public participation, 20-minute session.
Sorry, Mr. Mayor, the signatories.
Oh, yeah, so sorry. I just ticked right across those. So we've had some issues in the past week with signatories. So the cavalry's back. Councillor Franklin has returned. So council to confirm nomination of 2 signatories to authorise mid-June 2025 payment schedules on Bankline. At the moment, I am without a card. Councillor Wiles is almost possibly without a card, so we probably are only down to Councillor Franklin.
No, mine worked this morning.
It works
Yes.
well. Oh, good,
Yes.
good. So are you two happy to put your names forward for that?
Yeah.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Love that with me.
Yeah. Agenda item 6.
Sorry, Mr. Mayor, can I just have a vote on that?
Oh, yes, let's have a vote on that as well. Yes.
Oh, thank you, Councillor.
And I'm happy to second it.
Thank you.
Votes. And that's unanimous. Thank you.
Thank you.
I will get on to agenda item 6. Have we got anybody who would like to speak under public participation?
No request, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you very much. Agenda item 7, verbal report from our Dover District Councillors on matters relating to Sandwich on the basis of there's one in the room. Councillor Morehouse, would you like to give us an update?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Firstly, I attended the annual meeting of Dover District Council on Wednesday, the 21st of May. It's fair to say that the council is in a state of some chaos, for want of a better word, because we now have Conservative representation has diminished from 15 to 14. The Labour administration has diminished from 15 to 12. One of the Conservative councillors has moved over to what they call the independent group, which comprises of the former deputy leader and 2 of the former portfolio holders, and myself and the councillor manager. If you actually look at the pie chart of the Overview and Scrutiny Committee, myself and councillor manager have even been separated because she is classed as a non-aligned member, and I'm classed as an independent member. I'm not part of the independent group. However, it's confusing to say the least. So at the annual meeting of DDC on the 21st of May, they did elect a new chair of Dover District Council. So Gordon Cowan has now been replaced by Councillor Sue Beer, and David Cronk remains as deputy chairman. I also attended, as you all know, on the 19th of May, the meeting with respect to the parking charge Overview and Scrutiny Committee meeting, which was the Overview and Scrutiny Committee is an interesting case because the former deputy leader is now the chairman of the Overview and Scrutiny Committee. So someone who is making decisions in cabinet is now chair of the Overview and Scrutiny Committee. I think it makes common sense to say that the Conservative leader, Councillor Bartlett, should remain as the Overview and Scrutiny to scrutinise the decisions that the cabinet are making. That's checks and balances. That's how it works. I was suspicious about this afternoon's meeting being arranged for 4 p.m. because that specifically excludes me, as I'm in full-time employment. I have learned actually the request was made by the deputy shadow leader and one of the other councillors on the Overview and Scrutiny Committee from the Conservative Party, with a view to having this meeting prior to the cabinet meeting. And I extend a big thank you to Councillor Friend for actually offering to read out a statement on my behalf, which he did so this afternoon, in which I highlighted an issue about the actual cost of these proposed charges. Because a survey was done in 2019 of the 12 borough councils the 12 district councils in Kent, plus the one unitary council, which is Medway. And Dover ranks number 3 in terms of deprivation. So these increases are going to make that situation worse, because I know 6 years has passed since 2019, but the economic conditions of this country as a whole, and definitely of this county and this district, have not improved at all. In fact, it's fair to say that people are now significantly worse off than they were 20 years ago. So following on from that, doing things off the cuff here. So following on from that has been referred back to Cabinet, as Councillor Marie stated just before the meeting started. So I'll update councillors on progress with that.
Mm.
But when I also mentioned in this statement I made about the effect that the strategy will have in displacing parking in public car parks to the residential areas of the town, and the biggest risk areas are St Bart's Road and Winsborough Road, for very good reason. So St Bart's Road having a junior school, the congestion in St Bart's Road is already bad enough. It's going to get worse. It's a bus route, so it's a vital service for those who use public transport. It's also essential for the co-op. The co-op's very existence, because it's the only transportation routes to the co-op. And lastly, one of the most important tourist businesses is in Sandwich, is the caravan park. And if deliveries of static caravans, or people actually towing caravans, is compromised because the roads that connect the bypass with the caravan park are too congested, that's going to have an effect on that business. And also, it should not be forgotten that emergency vehicles, the matter of life and death is literally seconds. And if you have an emergency vehicle delayed, and I watched with some disdain about 2 weeks ago, an ambulance being made to wait 5 minutes at the New Street level crossing. That's the difference between somebody living and somebody dying. And that's Network Rail putting those gates down far too early. The train hasn't even arrived at the platform from Deal, and the gates are going down. And I don't think that's acceptable. Perhaps that's something for this council to look at a later stage. So as I've explained, the meeting with the tree warden didn't go ahead. Entirely my fault, because I became double booked. I am displeased to see that the application for the land adjacent to 95 St George's Road is back on the agenda, having fought so hard to stop that last year, and that's now back on the agenda. I'm going to take this up with the planning committee as to why preemptive work was allowed to take place there with no punitive measures taken against developers whatsoever. And that, coupled with the land grab between Smockville Lane and St Bart's Road, constitutes a very good reason to actually start hitting the planning committee and asking what they're doing. And that sums it up. That just about sums it up. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Morehouse. Any questions of Councillor Morehouse before we move on?
Just, if I can have it on record, please, to thank Councillor Morehouse for his hard work regarding DDC and especially the parking strategy that the Labour cabinet have decided to bring it. And thankfully, it's all now been squashed, well, for the time being at least.
Thank you very much. Agenda item 8, and again to welcome Councillor Peter Evans, our KCC councillor. So, Peter, this is your opportunity just to give us some sandwich-focused information, and if you're happy at the end, to take some questions.
I'll just tell you who I am first.
Yeah.
Obviously, I'm the KCC councillor for Sandwich. I work in radiology in London for 3 days a week. I'm on retirement. I've got 2 days a week I can donate to my council business at the moment. I also won in Thanet on the same day as I won the Sandwich election. So I've actually got 14 parish councils, but I will prioritise this council and I'll come here as much as I can. If you've got anything which you want me to take up, you can get me by email and I'll reply to that within a day or two at the most, okay? I'd like to say from a reform point of view, when it comes to roads and planning, we won't be having the same attitude as the last administration. We won't be just agreeing everything and waving everything through if the roads aren't up to it. This is the big problem, I think, what's been happening in Kent. There's been build everywhere, and the roads and the utilities haven't really been up to scratch. So we will be opposing quite a lot. I had a pre-meet with the mayor, and he's briefed me on the toll bridge. I've read up on it. We had a brief conversation about that, and the Willowbank and the hotel development. He's told me about the Guildhall forecourt and the bus stop, which I'm going to get onto straight away, and it's at left-hand corner of the cattle market. There's a few residence issues he's asked me to take up. There's a few other issues I'm already on. There's a bridleway which I'm on, which is down by the old Dover Road roundabout, and there's something actually bordering you, Felderland. There's going to be a traffic calming system actually put in there. I think that's worth council, but it's actually bordering onto where you are, so it will affect you. Okay. I've noted, I've read up on the East Kent cycle route, and I've got mixed sort of views on that because some of it looks quite good, some of it looks quite bad. And as the gentleman said down there, the actual it's not really well written up, is it? It's quite amateurish. Touched on also the Sea-Link project. I'm actually at council in Thanet Villages, so I've actually looked at that last week, and it's ridiculous. It's going to cause flooding in probably Minster and Moncton, but it's going to have a knock-on for Sandwich as well, because the amount of traffic, and you've got the Richmond Fort, which is a site of archaeological interest. So we will be opposing it. I'm sure you're opposing it, and when I meet with Ash, I'll be sure they'll be opposing it because they've got that solar farm which is feeding into it. Okay, so that is about what I've got to say at the moment. But again, reform are open-minded. We're not right or left. We're just normal people. And what our ethos is we want better value for the taxpayers. I don't like paying council tax, I'm sure you don't, and you want good value for it. So if there's any way that we can make better use of your money, we will do. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. Councillor Evans, are you happy to take a couple of questions?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, Councillor Pennington was first.
Thank you. Firstly, I apologise for my late arrival. Secondly, I'd like to welcome Councillor Evans to the sandwich. I just wanted to ask, as it was announced today, that the efficiency review will be focused on Kent County Council. Do we have any idea yet how long this will take?
Well, I can tell you a few things straight away. We have had to put in a freedom of information request to see the books. That is how worried we are about things being hidden. And there's going to be there's some people that will be resigning, I've been told already. So it's not looking good. I think there's been years of apathy and years of just doing things the same, and I think things really need looking at, because when it comes to long-term contracts, there's a lot of money which can be saved, and if we can save money for the taxpayer and give them a better service, that's what we want to do. Okay, the first thing we done was took a 5% pay cut, and that money is going into the grant, which I'll be giving back to this community. Okay, we want value for money, and we'll be doing our best to deliver. Okay.
Thank you. Councillor Morehouse.
Yes. Good evening, Councillor Evans. Yes, I mean, you suggested about the roadworks, the temporary traffic lights, the chaos, which is crippling the country. Council. I mentioned to the former portfolio holder at the annual town meeting last year that the situation as it is on my commute, I commute to West Kent and also to Whitstable, that if we woke up tomorrow morning with the perfect set of economic circumstances, low interest rates, low taxation, low inflation, it wouldn't make one iota of difference because nothing can get from A to B.
Correct.
That's something that I feel personally is important if we're going to have any chance of having a decent working economy in Kent.
Yeah.
But going on from that is the road surfaces themselves. So I'm a car owner. Next year my car will be 3 years old. The government will ask me to take my car into a dealership and have its MOT undertaken to make it fit for the roads. So my question over many, many years has been, why are the roads not fit for the cars that we buy?
Yeah.
And I hope that, I wish you well. I'm not a reform supporter myself, I must admit, but I wish you well, and I do hope we can sort out this mess.
I can say something to you on that. At the moment, KCC are paying £106 per pothole, and we've already been looking round, and we can cut that by 2/3. God knows why we've been paying so much for a pothole to be filled. That is just one of the things we've already uncovered. We're paying over the top, and obviously we've got thousands of miles of roads, but it is unacceptable. And one of the things which is making this worse is the NPPF and the disproportionate amount of houses we're getting built in Thanet and Dover. And I can tell you why this is happening, because one of the formula in the NPPF is land values. So where the land value is least, you're getting most houses built. And that is something which needs addressing, because we're getting disproportionate houses in Dover, Thanet, Swale, than what we are in Seven Oaks, Tunbridge and places like that. And this needs addressing, and hopefully this will be coming out. But I 100% agree with you. I've just put 2 new shopping malls on the front of my car, and I know exactly where you're coming from. I'm hoping that in future we can work together with the Dover councillors to get good outcomes on some of these things, because some of them are, obviously the roads are KCC, but there's other things which are DDC.
Thank you. Is it a quick observation? Yeah.
So going back to the potholes, there is a reporting system online. And you can report a pothole. And they will turn up and fix that pothole. By the time that they come to fix the pothole, another pothole will have developed literally next door to the existing pothole. They won't repair it because it's not on the job list. That's another one.
I was having a conversation with Highways today about this, and they said it depends on the diameter of the pothole. The bigger ones get priority, and the smaller ones don't, which seems crazy, but that is their policy at the moment. So if there's one that's sort of over 6 inches, they'll fit it. There's one 3 inches next to it, they won't, which seems a bit crazy. Probably one of these things where questions got to be asked, I think.
I'll take a couple more questions. I know Councillor Wiles is and then Councillor Mallett to end. You've still got a question?
Yeah, I spoke to Councillor Evans before the meeting. Welcome, thank you for coming. Good to see you. And just raise the issue of wayfarers, which was an old people's home in this town, which was very valued. It's been closed, and now it's supposedly occupied by a group looking after autistic people, but there's no evidence of it being occupied, or we don't know anything about the terms of the lease. We asked questions of our previous councillor, so if you are able to get some answers on that,
If
we're very
it's
grateful.
a company that's going to be looking after autistic people, social services, the social services will have a record of it. So I'll follow it up through that vein.
That'd be great. Thank you.
And I'll report back to you. Okay, Councillor.
Thank you. Councillor Mallett.
Thank you. Well, welcome, Councillor Evans.
Yeah.
It's an observation. My colleague mentioned online reporting.
Yeah.
There is a routine called Fix My Street, which has been around for a good 15 years.
Yeah.
And it's something that I've previously written to councils about. Why do they have to reinvent the wheel when they have a system which is effectively free? Works, has been working for 50, possibly longer, but they always have to come up with their own, or say ours is still in development, don't use Fix My Street. It just seems nonsense.
Unfortunately, as technology unfolds, they sometimes think they've got better schemes, and they don't. Doesn't always work out like that. I work for the NHS, and God knows how many new schemes they've brought in that'll be worse. I'm sure it's the same for district councils and for county councils. But going back to what you said about the fixing the potholes, in the winter it's going to be a lot worse than what it is in summer. At the moment, we're quite up to speed at the moment. We're filling them reasonably quickly, but in the winter we do get bogged down, I've been told. So you can wait weeks to get a pothole done in December, whereas this time of year it's not so bad. And one other little thing I'd like to throw in is about road closures and traffic lights, because that's been trying to be quite a lot. There's regulations come in. If the road isn't 6.2 metres or wider, they have to close the road, which seems crazy to me, but that is new regulations, because I've had a lot of complaints, not from Sandwich, but your surrounding villages about road closures, and that is why they close the roads rather than have traffic lights, because there's insufficient time to the road. Okay.
If you don't mind, one final question.
Just wanted to make a comment on that, obviously, what you just said, Councillor Evans. One of our biggest gripes within this town is the lack of communication from KCC regarding road closures. Because that can happen within a 24-hour notice, and none of us have a clue. We get it in the neck by residents to say the roads are closed, the town's becoming gridlocked, we can't do what we're going to do, the traffic jams. What we would like as a council, as for us, would be more a longer communication spectrum from you guys, from KCC, from highways, and say these are the roads closes. I know some of them are emergencies, like the electric, gas, etc. But some of them, they do come in very, 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 very short notice, and we just want a bit more time so we can, as councillors ourselves, because most of us have got our own councillor pages, is to produce that to our residents to say that the roads are going to be closing.
I will have a word with highways, and I'll ask them to email me directly any road closures, and I'll forward them straight to Jill. I was thinking about having a Sandwich page which I could put it on, but I've thought again about that, because there's loads and loads of people out there from far left, and they'll just turn it into some kind of joke, which they've done quite often. So, but I will, as soon as I get it, I'll forward it to Jill, so all of you know, she can disseminate it. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Evans. You can leave at this stage if you want to, or alternatively, you can stay with us. We're about a third of the way through the agenda, so you can make a call to stay. That's brilliant. Okay, thank you very much. Moving on to agenda item 9, report from local police representatives for Sandwich.
We haven't got a report, but the survey has been reminded. So if anybody hasn't completed the survey that PC Lauren has shared, please do so.
Yeah.
I've shared it again on the website.
Thank you.
And
So there's a
Facebook.
short survey currently out that's seeking views on antisocial behaviour and I believe local crime. Just a few questions, and I believe the closing date might be the 9th of June, but don't quote me on that. It is online and it is on the Facebook page for the Town Council, and it's an easy click through to complete the survey. Thank you. Right, so on to agenda item 10, that's updates from councillors. I'll just run through a few things I've been involved in and then I'll pass it over to other councillors. Firstly, I attended a civic event at Ramsgate on Sunday the 18th of May to commemorate the 85th anniversary of Operation Dynamo. I should have been invited to go on the Wednesday, but unfortunately something got confused along the way in communication lines, so I turned up to a different event. But Councillor Wiles joined me with his wife, and it was a lovely sunny day to walk through Ramsgate, wasn't it?
Good service.
Yes, very good, and a good service. Yes. We also, as part of that, we had one of our councillors, Councillor Franklin, having the privilege of taking part in the little fleet of little ships going across to Dunkirk, and I'm glad to see he got back safely.
12 hours. You got a bit rough over the other side.
Yeah, I heard.
Oh, blimey, tossing and turning.
Okay. On Wednesday, the 21st of May, I travelled to Hastings to chair the Standing Joint Committee meeting of the Confederation of Cinque Ports. And as part of that, I undertook the transfer of the speakership from the Mayor of Sandwich to the Mayor of Hastings. So the speakership will be with the Mayor of Hastings for the coming year, and I'm sure there'll be a Speaker's Day later in the year. A couple of days later, on Friday the 23rd of May, I joined the Vice Chair of DDC Council, David Cronk, to formally mark the completion of the project to refurbish the Bulwarks play area. Great achievement, looks good. And it was good to see 2 district councillors turn up and gate crash the opening ceremony, which was great as well. Not yourself, I know. And finally, of course, last Sunday we held our annual civic service, and thank you to all those councillors who were able to join me in the rededication of our work for the coming year. Excellent service, and it was a great opportunity to meet with some of the community that we are here to serve and represent. One of the things I personally reflected on it was, for next year, it might be better, I don't know, mention it to the town clerk, is that actually we join thereafter coffees and biscuits, because it felt a little bit as if we walked away to a privileged corner, i.e. here. It would be much better to actually mix, in my personal view, with the community there after the event. But, you know, that'll be down to the next mayor next year. Thank you. So any other councillors with, I'll take Councillor Morehouse first, only because he's looking at me.
Yeah, a couple of things I forgot on the DDC update. Firstly, on the play area, thank you for your attendance, Sarah, and others who managed to make it. One observation I have regarding the play area is you will notice a piece of apparatus on the play area, which is yellow, circular. Well, that has been there since I was about 4 years of age. It just shows that whoever designed that piece of equipment was way ahead of its time. I also neglected to mention that a couple of issues regarding parking. I now have a point of contact with the parking department. So the spaces at the end of the butchery, which are marked Doctor, I brought that up. And the other one that I suggested the last time was the access to the co-op via Winsborough Road being blocked by vehicles parked in a no parking zone. I attended the CALP meeting on the 29th of April at Guston. Main topics of conversation were the local government reorganisation, and there is a meeting on Thursday the 19th of June, which I wasn't going to be able to attend because of going to Honfleur. I had to withdraw my participation in that, so I'm hoping to attend that on Thursday the 19th. The other topic of conversation was concerning events, and Two of the attendees were complaining quite bitterly that DDC are now asking event organisers to organise overnight security for 2 portable lavatories on Walmer Green. The other meeting I attended was the Glazing Stores meeting, but I think probably better to leave it to Councillor Ripley or Councillor Marie to update on that.
Thank you. And just on the CALC meeting, having spoken to the Mayor of New Romney today, who's heavily involved in CALC, it's been so oversubscribed. There's 200 odd people attending. It's been moved from Aylesford to Ashford. So don't turn up in Aylesford if you go to it.
I just looked on the website. It's Ashford. It's Ashford International.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Councillor Black.
Thank you. The town clerk and I went to a meeting at DDC about devolution. Jill, do you know if the slides have been sent on to you?
I haven't had them yet, no.
Yeah. They really weren't able to tell us a great deal, to put it bluntly. There's a number of problems that we need to be aware of. Some of you may well be aware of them already. One of the issues that Dover sees is that with a change in KCC, they're not quite sure what the County Council's views are going to be about devolution. Now, I've spoken to Councillor Evans and I've got a better idea about that. And obviously it's different from the previous council's administration's attitude. So it is going to be a problematic area for Kent. The next issue is how many unitary authorities should there be in Kent? Should there be 3? Should there be 4? And there's at least 2 versions I've seen of 4, and there may be a third one. We certainly know that there's a whole range of possibilities, but basically there seems to be some version of East Kent, West Kent, and they're not quite sure what's happening in the middle, but it is very uncertain at the moment. A large issue is going to be the size of debt that Kent County Council currently have as a result of over the years, and how that should be allocated. I was going to say share. Can you share debt? But how it's going to be allocated to the new unitary authorities, because unless it's written off in some way, that's going to be a problem. They're going to be facing a pretty hefty bill. There's significant issues for councils like ourselves, because there will be fewer councillors representing us at these unitary authorities compared to district and county that we've got at the moment. And there are quite significant implications for local democracy. Unfortunately, the government's white paper mentions parish councils and town councils like ourselves once on one page in about 150 pages. So clearly there's a lot has not been thought of yet in Whitehall. What are we going to, the very important question was asked, what happens to Section 106 funds in Dover District? Because of course a lot is happening in Whitfield where a lot of developments are, but how would you allocate that under some kind of unitary authority? That's very unclear at the moment. And should the area that is generating all these 106 funds with the construction of housing, I'm sure the same will apply in Thanet from what we've heard from Councillor Evans, or should you distribute them in some other way? So that is going to be quite an argument that has got to be held in a number of places. And so far, Dover have not come up with anything of that. There were some criticisms of the way Dover has started this consultation. They don't seem to have been as open as it's been claimed, that they haven't been as open as some other local authorities in other parts of England, particularly on things like planning and so on. They seem to have a very blinkered view as to how planning will operate. There are a number of options that you could have for planning, perhaps not necessarily having the full unitary authority level, which could be very important for us, because obviously if it's, say, somewhere like Ashford, we're going to be even one stage removed from Dover on planning issues, and we've already heard today the number of problems that we've had with planning. And that seems to be about it. I'm happy if the town clerk would like to add any points to what I've said.
No, I think you've covered all the points there, Councillor Black.
Yeah, so just for me to add as well, assets is a key issue to all of this, and myself and the town clerk are meeting with the new mayors for Dover Town and Deal Town tomorrow, hopefully to agree a joined up approach towards Dover District Council regards assets. Having spoken to the new Romney Mayor today, he did say that Folkestone and Hythe District Council have been open for discussions. Dover have not yet at all. So we may have an uphill struggle with Dover as opposed to what they feel that is happening with Folkestone and Hythe.
This was another criticism made by some parish representatives that Dover had not been on the front foot.
Yeah. Okay. Councillor Mallet?
Oh, thank you. Councillor Cooper and myself went to a meeting organised by Councillor Peter Findlay in Deal on our local coast. We had presentations by Southern Water, DDC and White Cliffs, basically looking, I think the priority being, how do we deal with pollution? One of the things that we came back with was Sandwich, while it has Sandwich Bay, doesn't really have any influence or any contact with the coast. So our meeting, our presence was interesting, but not that one that we can influence beyond suggesting that Worth might be a better council, because it was basically all the councils that had a coastline within DDC were invited, but they forgot about Worth. Worth has a lot of what we call Sandwich Bay, to the right of where you're going.
Yeah.
So I don't know whether we would be going again, possibly out of interest. And the other event, which you might remember, we had VE Day, which was, I think, an overwhelming success.
It was.
Though I say so myself. And I've had many comments from people in Ramsgate, Worth, all over these things saying, we saw your searchlight. So I think they all saw our beacon. Thanks.
So, Councillor Mallet, in 20 years, when it's 100 years, you can do even better, I'm sure. Councillor Marie.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have two updates for you. So, Folk and Ale Festival, have an update from Harry Sebson, the Secretary of Folk and Ale Festival. Sandwich Folk and Ale Festival is now in a promotional phase, recruiting volunteers. A new fundraiser is being announced in the coming days, involving an 80-year-old, kid you not, this is true, an 80-year-old woman and wakeboarding at the Aqua Park for fundraising for the Sandwich Folk and Ale Festival. That is true, I can assure you. Where are we? The other thing, good thing, a funny thing is we are looking for councillors to volunteer in being in stocks to get pelted with sponges during the festival. I've offered 1 hour. I can give other councillors my credit card if you wish to stay all day and pelt me with sponges. The £2,000 is greatly received and is paid for the part welfare provisions and part of the sound engineering for the event. The one thing they're concerned about is regarding the banners being placed on the balcony. Now they've seen the balcony, the one that's been put on the balcony, and they're quite concerned that they have to go through the constant asking the council to go into for it to go to the meeting for the council to decide. Where that one's gone straight up without any meetings.
And that's because we decided at an appropriate meeting, I can't remember which one, but we delegated it down to the town clerk. It doesn't need to go to meetings anymore.
I can't find the minute, Mr. Mayor, for that. I was looking today.
I was reading it only a couple of days ago.
So if you could let me...
I will, yes.
Thank
we
you.
delegated it down to the town clerk, and I think it was in Heritage and Townscape. But I'll find
okay,
out.
that's why
It
probably
wasn't,
why I don't...
it wasn't STC.
That's
Right.
why I didn't...
Yeah,
Okay,
so
that's
it's not
clarified.
an issue.
Okay, that's fine. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Sorry, the council has said it's not an issue. It's not the mayor saying
Okay,
it's not an
thank
issue.
you. I can recall that back to them.
Yeah.
The other thing was that's it. The support from many businesses has been amazing, and our St Mary's event is almost sold out. T-shirts are now available to purchase, and we're looking forward to seeing our new, and this is capital letters, sexy local boy band, the T-Sharps, which comprises of myself, Harry Sampson, Mr. Mayor, and Jack Humphreys from the waiting room. At their first live performance, which the Mayor is a founding member, and so offer has been extended to the Deputy Mayor after his comments on social media to join us as long as he can sing. Thank you very much. The other one is the Dover District Neighbourhood Watch Association. I've had no report back from them to the council.
Thank you very much.
Comment on Councillor Mallet saying about Sandwich Bay. our boundaries, the North Stream, so all in golf courses, that's all Worth
Yes.
and the Bawley. So I can't
Yeah.
believe they didn't have a representative from Worth Parish Council.
So,
That's absolutely
yes,
scandalous,
Councillor
isn't it?
Frank. Yeah, well, yes, it is. What happened was, as the meeting unfolded, we realised that actually we had been wrongly invited, and they didn't know
That's
or
our
realise that Worth was actually Sandwich Bay. Councillor Ripley.
Yeah, just an update on
Yes.
what I've been doing. Okay, so I went to the town team AGM, where the main focus was the town team becoming more strategic in their view, and not just repeating the same old things that have been going on for years. Getting a development plan in place, setting up a working group for heritage and townscape. Obviously, there's a lot of interest in the parking issues. The ramp at Ainsley Court was mentioned as a priority, and we're hoping to set up a working group relating to that. And various other things, the usual sort of things we mentioned, but I do think the town team is, hopefully moving on now. Went to the Sandwich in Bloom AGM. They've got a lot going on this year. A lot of things organised. There's a Wisley trip on the 10th of June, I think. We've got so far 53 attendees going on that. There's a little card scheme which will come into play in the next month, I think. And there will be a flower and produce show. I think that's in September, but I'll probably get told off for getting the date wrong, so I'd say that. So there's a lot going on with Sandwich in Bloom, and it's all good stuff. The other one I went to with Councillor Marie and Councillor Morehouse was Gays and Salts trustee meeting.
Councillor Malik as well.
And Councillor Malik, gosh, yes, sorry. That was very interesting. The main topic of conversation was the storage building that they have there, the current one. There is a problem with the asbestos, but they're having a few issues again with DDC. That's a shock, isn't it? About replacing those and the charges, etc., etc. So that was really the main issue of the meeting. But there was also interesting discussions about what other birds have been seen there, a fabulous array of things, about the removal of the car, back boxes, and all sorts of things like that, and how popular the Gays and Salts is. And just as another thought, Gays and Salts will also be open on our Heritage Open Day. I think I'll get this plug in now. September the 12th, 13th and 14th this year. But Gays and Salts is going to be open then, along with many other places, particularly focusing on dead bodies in
Gallows Field.
that's the word, 2 words. Yeah, Gallows Field. So a lot going on and a lot of very positive stuff from all of those.
Thank you. Okay. Councillor Anderson.
Yes, thank you. This isn't directly related to council business, but I just thought that I would let you know that, and some of you were there on Saturday night at the Railway Swing Band event, benefit event for the Jubilee Centre, which was a sellout. I think those of you that were there had a terrific time. It was a fantastic concert, and I just thought I'd mention that we raised well over £1,500, so we're very, very pleased with how that happened. And if I could just add that on June the 19th, which is the week after next, the Association of Jewish Refugees will be coming on their annual visit to Sandwich, and the Leave to Land exhibition, which the council now owns, will be up again in the courtroom for them to see. And one of the people who's coming, whose father was in the camp, in the kitchen camp, from 1939 to 40, Claire Weissenberg, who's the curator of the Leave to Land exhibition, is coming. So she'll give a talk about the youth.
Fantastic.
So that's in the afternoon, June 19th.
Thank you very much. I think we're done. The Councillor Morehouse, second bite at the cherry.
Yeah,
Really?
Just to add, Gates and Salts Matrix held an open day.
Yes,
Bank
indeed.
holiday.
Yeah, it was brilliant.
Weekend, and
Yeah.
raised over £500.
Wow. Yeah.
Regarding what Councillor Black was advising as RE local government organisation, I'm led to believe that one of the consequences of this will be harmonisation of council tax, which means that our council tax will go up
to the highest.
Down.
Never goes down.
Well, they can't. They can't.
It might be harmonised across the county. That's what I've been
Across the unitary authority.
across the whole of the county.
Let's see. Let's see.
That's one consequence. And the other thing that concerns me, if that happens, there's debate at the moment about parking charges. Can you imagine if we pay the same parking charges
That's
here
Canterbury.
that we do in Canterbury?
Yes. Okay. Very finally, I think Councillor Green just wanted to
Yeah,
say.
can I just remind you, Mr. Mayor, that you went to the unveiling of the plaque for the Sandwich hosting
Martin
Martin Winston, which had
Yeah.
been organised by Sandwich and Blue.
Yeah, that was.
And he
Yeah.
did a wonderful job
Yes, they
there.
did.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
That was very touching because actually his family came and there was around about 100 people there. It was great and Councillor Green was there.
Sorry, it was down to John Vandervold, who
Yes.
did all of that
He
and
did.
maintains all of that
Area.
in the area. Yeah.
Okay, if we can move on. Thank you. Moving on to agenda item 11. This is financial information, budget comparison, financial statement, cash book, bank reconciliations and forecast reports. So we've got 3 attachments, and if we go for each of them individually, the first is to receive and note the Sandwich Town Council bank reconciliation as of the 30th of April 2025, and that's attachment 3A. Are there any comments on that? And if not, we'd be happy to propose them. Councillor Franklin and Councillor Breen seconding. And I've lost my green card. In my excitement.
Yes.
Anyway, I'm voting in favour, so that's unanimous.
Yeah.
Thank you. To receive and note the Sandwich Town Council financial budget comparison report as of the 30th of April 2025, that's attachment 3B. Proposer, Councillor Marie, and Councillor Franklin seconding, and all in favour. Thank you. And finally, to receive and note the financial statement cash book as of the 30th of April 2025, attachment 3C. Councillor Marie, Councillor Franklin. Thank you very much. Okay, so on the basis last time we did a poll and we didn't get it quite right, so I think we need to do this carefully. So this is deferred from the annual town meeting. This was to choose the membership of the Human Resources Committee. There is a process to go through. We've got a report, so I wouldn't ask the town clerk to go through all the context because I think we understand the context because we'll all have read the report, I'm sure. So we can just go into the voting aspect, town clerk, if you're happy just to give a quick overview of what's expected.
Yes, so thank you, Mr. Mayor. So we have had one person withdraw from the process since the report. Since the invitation was put out to 9 councillors. All remaining applicants were invited to provide a brief summary, restricted to 5 bullet points. So that wasn't obligatory; it was an invitation. And now we find ourselves with an excess of applicants, so we will be taking to the ballot, as Mr. Mayor has said. No one may vote for him or herself, and each councillor will have 5 votes. And you're not required to use all your votes. And the applicants with the most votes in the ballot will be appointed. If after the first ballot there is an equal number of votes for applicants at the lower end of the list, then a second ballot will be necessary. Thank you.
Can I ask how many people how many more members do you want? Because you've got 4.
Yes, so there will be 6 on the committee, of which one is the mayor, so that leaves 5 vacancies, and we've got 8 candidates who've put their names forward.
Well, I'll withdraw. I don't want.
Oh, you have to withdraw.
Yeah, 'cause I'm not want. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, okay.
Thank you. Okay, so do you want to take us through the
Yes,
voting?
thank you. Oh, sorry,
Councillor Marie.
Can I
sorry.
just speak quickly?
Yeah.
Mr. Mayor, I'm one of those requested to join the HR committee. I do apologise for not doing my 5 bullet points regarding how I wish to. I've been extremely busy with work and obviously moving house and stuff, so I've been a bit preoccupied. I may just want to say one thing that will be one to everybody is the reason why I wish to join the HI committee is my big pursuit is to recruit the town sergeant role within STC, because I've been an advocate of that since I joined the council. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Mayor. So if we take people in alphabetical order, so there's no favour to anybody. Okay, so the first candidate is Councillor Ian Black. So if we can have, please, a show of hands for people that support Councillor Blackby. Thank you. Sorry, I just want to note these down. So that is one for Councillor Chuka, one for Councillor Wiles, one for Councillor Broom, Councillor Ripley, Councillor Morehouse, Councillor Pennington, sorry, Councillor Anderson, yep, you've got your hand up there, and Councillor Fortescue, Councillor Mallet, Councillor Marie. I'm not voting. Okay. Okay, thank you. So thank you, Councillor Morehouse. Let's finish with that. So then Councillor Peter Breen is the next person. If I can have a show of hands, please. So it's Councillor Chuka, Councillor Wiles, Councillor Black, Councillor Ripley, Councillor Morehouse, Councillor Pennington, Councillor Anderson, Councillor Fortescue, Councillor Mallet, Councillor Murray. Thank you. The next person is Councillor Danielle Carter. So if I can have a show of hands, please, for that candidate. Councillor Fortescue, Councillor Anderson. That's, oh, sorry, Councillor Pennington, didn't see you there. Is that right? 3 people, yeah, okay. The next person is Councillor Paul Carter, please. If I can have a show of hands, anyone supporting Councillor Paul Carter? Councillor Mallet. Yeah, okay. Councillor Franklin's withdrawn. So Councillor Dean Marie, please, if we can have a show of hands. So Councillor Chuka, Councillor Wiles, Councillor Black, Councillor Breen, Councillor Ripley, Councillor Morehouse, Councillor Pennington, Councillor Mallet. That's it. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. And then Councillor Victoria Tomlins, please. Show of hands. Councillor Chuka, Councillor Wiles, Councillor Black, Councillor Breen, Councillor Ripley, Councillor Morehouse, Councillor Pennington, Councillor Anderson, Councillor Fortescue.
We're just
Sorry,
clarifying how many times we voted.
I'm going to get to that in a minute. Thanks, Councillor Marie. Sorry, I didn't know. Did you have your hand up, Councillor Mallet?
No, I didn't.
No,
I wasn't sure. I would, but I'm not sure.
No, that's fine. That's fine. I just didn't want to miss anybody off. And Councillor Marie, you didn't have your hand up. No. Okay, thank you. So, do you want to know, Councillor Marie, how many votes you've cast?
Councillor Mallet wants to as well.
Okay, 2 for Councillor Marie and 4 for Councillor Mallet.
Yeah.
Okay. Councillor Colin Wiles is the last one on the list. Can I have a show of hands, please, for... Okay, sorry, Councillor Chuka. 1. Yep, not you. Councillor Black. Councillor Breen. Councillor Ripley. Councillor Morehouse. Councillor Anderson. Councillor Fortescue, Councillor Mallet, Councillor Marie. Okay, thank you very much. Okay, so that's 10 votes for Councillor Black, 10 for Councillor Breen, 3 for Councillor Danielle Carter, 1 for Councillor Paul Carter, 7 for Councillor Marie, 9 for Councillor Tomlins, and 9 for Councillor Wiles. So, that one.
Yeah, that's fine.
That one.
And that one.
Yep. So if you want to check, Mr. Mayor, that you're happy with my calculations.
Yes, I'm just checking across. Make sure. Yeah, that's all good. Yeah, that's all good. So that confirms the 5 members to join the mayor will be Councillor Ian Black, Councillor Peter Green, Councillor Dean Marie, Councillor Vicky Tomlins, and Councillor Colin Wiles.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Well done.
Yes,
Yes.
yeah, that one's definitely right.
Yes.
Okay.
Can I make a suggestion? We do it similar to that for mayor making for next year.
Yeah.
I think
It's a lesson learned.
Yes.
The HR committee, because this is our real hotspot in terms of delivery, with vacancies coming up, it will be convened hopefully for next week. So there won't be much breathing space between tonight and the first meeting. Okay. Moving on to agenda item 13, Finance and Assets Working Group. And this is to seek agreement for the membership of the Finance and Assets Working Group for the new civic year, to review the terms of reference for the Finance and Assets Working Group. And members are asked to approve terms of reference and the committee membership. So we did discuss this, I think in the third quarter of last year, when we agreed a change to the terms of reference to reduce the scope. We also agreed at that point a new chair, which was Councillor Breen, but reconvening the working group will include appointing a chair at that first meeting. So gives breathing space for Councillor Breen to reflect on his previous hasty decision, possibly, but we'll see. So question, any points around the membership or the terms of reference, or are you happy to?
Yeah, I think working groups have a limited lifespan, like 6
They do.
months. This has been going on and on and on.
They do.
I think it might finish myself.
Yeah, and that's why it was closed down, Councillor Franklin. What we've now got is another set of issues that are much more focused, and that was the point of it coming back in the third quarter of last year. So you are quite right, but this is a reconvened group
So a
focusing.
lifespan of 6 months.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah, because I just think it counts as times as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
You need to focus and get it done, not drag it out.
Well, very much so. You know, we had been hoping to arrange a meeting because the main terms of reference as it stands at the moment is to review the relationship between Sandwich Town Council and Sandwich Tollbridge Fund. And what I was hoping to do was to get a meeting so that we could look at a number of aspects from an organisational, a personnel, a legal, look at it from a number of different lenses to see how it all panned out. But because of the pressures of work and people's time, we just weren't able to assemble a meeting. So that's why we didn't meet.
Okay.
But it is a good challenge, and we will keep that under review in terms of timescales, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just thinking the clerks.
Yes. Yeah. Councillor Black.
Yes, I mean, to a certain extent, maybe overtaken by events, but would this be the appropriate group to look at devolution and assets in relation to devolution? Because someone's going to have to do it. I question whether this would be, I really think this might be the best group if you're already focusing on, pardon me, a lot of the detail about what they've got. But I appreciate I'm springing this on people and you might want to consider it. But let me put it forward as a proposal.
So my personal view is it's right to raise that. My personal view is on the basis that we've got meetings with Dover and Deal tomorrow. and maybe we need to reflect on that. And I'm meeting with the DDC leader in the next couple of weeks, and I will be raising the point about assets. Once we know the land that lies, it might be suitable for the working group. Alternatively, we might need to accelerate something separately and take it into finance and general purposes. So let's...
May I make a suggestion? This specifically goes on the agenda on the 23rd.
Yep.
I would suggest, by that time we'll have a bit more information.
Yeah.
And I do apologise for springing it on the page.
Happy to do that.
Yeah.
We'll have feedback on the assets. That's fine. Councillor Pennington.
Yes, thank you. I would just like it to be confirmed that all the existing members of the working group have confirmed they are prepared to carry on, because I think that's important for us to know.
It is.
The second thing is just to respond to Councillor Black. Yes, I think maybe finance and general purposes would be a more appropriate forum, but let's wait and see.
Yeah. Okay. So in terms of membership?
So in terms of membership, I haven't heard from Councillor Gray, so I'm not sure.
Yes, that's the only one that's a question mark over. I don't know if anybody was actually wanting to become a member.
Well, if there were a vacancy, I might be interested, but let's wait and see what Councillor
Thank you.
says.
Thank you. Okay, so are we content? Let me go back to accept the terms of reference as they stand and the membership as it stands, and if so, somebody have to propose that. Councillor Wiles and Councillor Franklin seconding. All in favour? Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, so the next one's interesting. So, agenda item 14, wooden bridge at Knight Rider Streets. So, I'll introduce, let the town clerk introduce the item itself, and then I can open up for questions on that.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Mayor. So we have had contact from Dover District Council with a request if the Town Council would consider contributing to the cost for replacing the wooden bridge between Knight Rider Street and St George's Place, St George's Road. After a maintenance inspection on the 23rd of January 2025, Dover District Council found that the raised wooden bridge between Knight Rider Street and St George's Place, St George's Road needed major repairs, and they decided to close it to the public. The bridge has remained closed since this date. Due to the age of the bridge and the repairs required, DDC has decided to replace rather than repair the structure. However, as the failure of the bridge was unexpected, Dover District Council does not have an identified budget for its replacement. As the bridge is a public right-of-way, DDC have been in consultation with Kent County Council regarding the works that need to be undertaken to replace the bridge. Dover District Council have had engineering drawings produced and have assessed that the replacement cost is circa £30,000. In discussion with Kent County Council, they've agreed to split the cost of the replacement 3 ways and are seeking funding of £10,000 from Sandwich Town Council to deliver the project. I think I'll leave the... I won't read it.
So I'll just mention a couple of things. So just as context, KCC's budget for 25-26, 2.6 billion. DDC's budget for the same period, 22 million. STC's budget under 350,000. Responsibility for maintaining and repair a bridge itself is DDC's responsibility, with an underlying responsibility for the route as a public right-of-way resting with KCC. So that's all the context around this. So I'll take some comments on this. Councillor Marie.
So glad you picked me, Mr. Mayor, first. Thank you. My opinion is DDC, their communication is diabolical. However, when they want money, they want to communicate all the time. That's my opinion, and I'd quite happily have that noted on the minutes. My opinion is they've got a lot more money than we have. They're charging events and stuff to use for the car parks and also these increases in the parking charges. I propose, and hopefully these other councils agree with me, that we say no, they have to pay for it. It's their responsibility, so they have to pay for it. It's not ours.
We'll come to a vote on that. So if we can avoid maybe 15 attacks on this, I mean, when we get to the stage where people think we've vented our spleen quite a lot, anything in addition would be helpful. So Councillor Morehouse, is all your hand first.
Yes, I attended the meeting about the mine regime in which Emma Jane, Alan and Darren Solly were present and asked them about this. And they come up and told us £30,000. That was significant improvement on the estimated cost of 50,000. So they're already saving £20,000 on what they budgeted. I do agree that it's worthwhile going ahead for the sake of future-proofing. But if they're going to ask us to make any kind of contribution at all, I would set a limit at 25% and no more. That's if we have to cough up anything.
Thank you.
But I do agree that the bridge does need replacing. I wouldn't advocate repair because it won't last.
No. So I'll take Councillor Ripley next, and Councillor Miles.
Well, as I'm only third to speak, I feel entitled to rant. I think Dover District, I totally agree with what's been said. Dover District Council have got a glass neck on this one.
Yes.
They're very happy to quickly take money from us at every available opportunity, and yet they're not prepared to put their money where their mouth is according to this. I mean, is the bridge owned by anyone?
DDC's
Well, then they
responsibility.
should pick up the tab.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Miles?
Yeah, I mean, the section in the report which says DDC have agreed to split the cost of replacement 3 ways. They can't agree that on our behalf. You know, to me, this is the thin end of the wedge. If they agree that we should split the cost on this, then where does it end?
Yeah.
We have to take a stand, I'm afraid. The bridge is owned by DDC. It's a KCC right of way, so it's slightly complicated. But I don't see why Sandwich Town Council should have to make any contribution to this.
Councillor Black?
Well, the only question I got, if they make any contribution, is does this have any effect upon assets? Because if we're starting to pay for it, this has become our asset or part asset.
Good
I
point.
think now that the devolution company, we've got to be extremely careful, let alone the moral argument of how can they decide and tell us what we're doing, that we're paying, when they haven't even asked us.
Thank you. And in a wider context for the town council, what I would say is we have got some financial pressures we will have to deal with in this coming year. We have currently an interim finance officer. We potentially might need an interim town clerk. We might potentially need other unexpected expenses that we haven't budgeted for at the start of the year. And that is against the backdrop of an unallocated amount of 3,800 available. Yeah, so yes, Councillor Franklin.
I've just got some notes, 50 years since Billy Rock and Dover District Council was formed, but they did have a lot of properties from Sandwich, and I know at least 3 properties they've sold, the Market Hall, down the Richmond Road, and one around in Moat Soul. So they've been selling our former properties off. I don't think we should pay a penny into it. They've made money out of our former properties. They must have made 300,000 plus of properties they've sold up that was ours.
Thank you. Okay, so we've had quite a clear view. Is there anybody who would like to stand up and support the proposal? And if not, we'll go to a vote. Have you changed your mind, Councillor?
No, I'm happy to support.
Okay.
Lou's proposal.
Okay, so
No, nothing.
we had 2 recommendations. The first, if goes in a certain way, then rules out the second one. So the first one is whether the town council will provide a contribution towards the costs for replacing the wooden bridge between Knight Riders Street and St George's Place, St George's Road. So those in favour of providing contribution, will you please vote in favour? Those abstaining? And those against? Unanimous.
Everybody's against, even if you've got a green card, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Sorry, Mr. Mayor.
Yeah.
Could we not just pass an additional resolution to say DDC and KCC should meet their statutory responsibility?
So we will be responding, noted, we will be responding in writing to them, and we will make sure that that's reflected in a suitable tone in terms of the communication.
I think it's important to say to them, as you were saying earlier, that they're asking for 3% of our budget. We've only got 1% contingency.
Yeah.
We've not budgeted for it. We can't give them money we've not got budgeted.
Thank you. Fair comment. Okay, moving on to agenda item 15, Calc Extraordinary General Meeting Invitation. I know that one councillor has already made the town clerk aware of their interest. I suppose rather than debating this, I'd like to just check if there's anybody else who is interested, but we have only one spare place available. Is that a,
As I'm the
Yeah.
health representative of
Yeah.
STC, I'd like to attend,
okay?
and I can get time off, so
Do you get an automatic invite if you're,
I'll find out.
okay, but we'll assume not,
Yeah.
because they are particularly oversubscribed. Councillor Pennington? Will you put it
Yes,
on
thank
record?
you. Having had experience elsewhere in town councils, the question of devolution and how it is organised really interests me, and I feel I can feed into the finance committee as well.
Councillor Murray?
Yeah, apologies. So it says on the agenda, hang on, bear with me. So it says on the agenda, mayor attending the town clerk with 2 tickets, one more representative.
Yeah.
There'll be represented from 12 district councils. Does that include the leader of the district councils? Does that include councillors and DDC councillors?
Well, if it mentions the word 12,
Yeah.
then that assigns to Kent County Council,
Right, okay.
because there are 12 district councils within Kent plus one unitary.
Because now we've said that, I'm intrigued to mind as well, because obviously Councillor Black has been heavily involved in this because he's had meetings with the town clerk. I was going to support Councillor Black to attend because he's been talking about it quite a lot tonight. But also, I'm more happy to support Morehouse, but it depends on the vote.
May I suggest if Councillor Morehouse doesn't get an additional invitation, I'm happy to stand down in favour of Councillor Morehouse. But if not, I'd like to go.
And Councillor Pennington, any reflections from your perspective, because you've indicated interest? So if not, what we can do is I can take the two.
I think support Councillor Black should be there.
Okay. So I think on that basis and Councillor Black's offer that if we proceed with Councillor Morehouse in terms of being the current representative of the town council, and if he does get an invite himself separately, then Councillor Black will fill him behind.
Okay.
Can we do it in reverse order then? Couldn't we actually propose Councillor Black?
If you're happy to do that. Okay.
And I'll see if I can wangle them.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
So it's
Okay.
no, you see it, no, you don't. So,
Councillor Black
Yeah.
is the first. Yeah.
so could I take a vote on that if people are happy for Councillor Black to represent councils?
Agreed.
That's unanimous, thank you. Moving on to, moving on to agenda item 16, business plan for STC. The town clerk has presented a report which identifies ownership for the actions that are identified in the business plan itself and where they should sit as a committee, owned item or possibly to town clerk themselves. There is a list there that it's up for debate. So if there's any that you don't agree with, please flag that up now. The intention is that this is really to make sure that the actions are owned rather than they're just sitting somewhere and everybody think everybody else is dealing with the actions. The reporting will be into the town council on a regular basis as indicated in the report. So any comments, Councillor Wiles, since you wrote it?
Yeah. Yes, throughout, it talks about STC Finance Committee. I'm assuming that means finance and general purposes.
It does.
Could I say, because I wrote it with the town clerk and the mayor, could we say that the three of us have a kind of overarching supervision of this to make sure that the various bodies and committees, etc., are pushing this along?
Yeah.
Or that
Happy
we
to
push
do
it
that.
along to make sure it happens?
If everybody else is happy with that, yeah. Councillor Marie.
Yeah, just one more thing, just wanted to clarify. So I read this, it's very interesting. However, over the last 2 years, there's been no mayor fund. There's been no mayor's fund raising money for local charities and stuff from the town council and the mayor.
Yep.
Can this be included in the business plan, or is it a separate entity? Because the lack of, as I said, the last 2 years, there's been no mayor's fund whatsoever, and I do wish it's
Yep.
brought back to the town.
So as I'm in,
I'd just say that's personal to the mayor, I think.
yeah, as I'm in week 3, and there's a lot to get my head around. I wanted to have a conversation with Councillor Franklin as an expert in this area,
Yeah.
so as I then come to a decision about how best to approach. I am at the moment just right in the middle. I want to understand the purpose of it, how it should work, and then do it properly. So that's what will happen.
Okay.
It's a fair point to make, but I'm not going to just dive in and say, yes, we'll do something. Yep, thank you. So if we,
Sorry,
any
Mr.
other comments? Sorry, Councillor Breen.
Yeah, sorry, just on item 2.2, to examine the options for addressing issues relating to the museum operations, the use of the Hive, the relationship between the Visitors Information Centre and museum, access to the archives by the public and the role of volunteers. That's been allocated to the Finance Committee, but I think isn't the Tollbridge Finance Committee need to be involved there? So really it should be either the finance committees or the Tollbridge Fund, and because the Tollbridge Fund pays for a lot of the museum stuff.
I mean, there's
So
also a possibility about the Museum and Archives Committee to be played in. I think the key thing is to make sure there's a leading committee in terms of owning these. If not, things might get dropped down the gap. So accepting that challenge, Councillor Breen, would it be more sensible that actually it's Museum and Archives should be steering this with input from Finance and General Purposes and STBF Finance? Would you be happy with that?
Yeah.
Councillor Ripley?
So, well, I was just going to say virtually the same thing, but I think certainly Museum and Archive Committee is the one committee that should be looking at this.
Okay, is that right? But it is a complicated model, isn't it?
Very much in mind.
Yes, very much in mind. Any other comments? And if not, is somebody's happy? Yes, Councillor Pennington.
Yes, I know that the highway improvement plan is entirely going to be the responsibility of the town clerk. And I wonder if this council should not have an involvement in some way, possibly through Heritage and Townscape. I'm not sure how exactly that might be handled in various meetings. We've had various aspects of the highways improvement programme, but I'm wondering if it's too heavy a burden for the town clerk and whether the council itself should be more involved.
Would you like to answer that, or shall I answer it?
I mean, yes, you're right. It is a burden, but I have had a meeting recently with the Mayor and Councillor Breen. So we have got a plan of action to tackle things.
Yeah.
So we are sharing out some of the heavy lifting, I would say, at the moment.
And and I think you're right, Councillor Pennington. It will report into Heritage and Townscape in terms of progress, but certainly Councillor Breen's committed, as well as I am, to support the town clerk. And I don't mean by just saying, well done, you're doing a great job. We actually are going to do some of the heavy lifting ourselves. Okay, thank you. Any other comments? If not, if somebody's happy to propose the list, subject to the change that was mentioned. Councillor Pennington supporting, Councillor Morehouse seconding, and
Everybody agreed?
Sorry.
that's unanimous.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Okay, moving on to Maddox Fund updates. So we have 3 reports relating to the Georgina Maddox Fund. The first is an update from EFG Harris Allday for the investment portfolio. Details of the current value of the Georgina Maddox Trust. Members are requested to approve the investing of a sum of £663,326.66, and that's proceeds from the sale of Bayhall, into the Georgina Maddox investment account, and members are invited to note the other details in the report. Do we have any comments, or are people happy to propose? Propose. There's a comment, sorry. Yeah.
Very pleased to see at long last that we have got a statement from the executors, and we're all pleasantly surprised with the contents, because the value of the legacy to the organisations of Sandwich, administered by the town council, is more significant than was originally thought.
Yeah.
So we're very pleased with that, and I think we should not hold back in signing off the interim statement, or to agree the kind of the distribution. I would suggest that instead of investing all of the proceeds of Bay Hall, that we hold back some 13,000. Sandwich Town Council at the moment is holding some 28,000. I think another 13,000, because we still need to move forward. And the question to the town clerk is, where are we up to with establishing the charity? Because we haven't got the charity established. We will need to appoint advisors smartly to be able to distribute some funds this year. And I think it would be prudent to hold, about £40,000 rather than, the 28, to send in around 650,000 kind of round figure for investment by the household.
Have you got the details specifically there on that? Yeah. Okay.
So I've noted the details. In answer to Councillor Breen's question, I have approached the consultant to ask if they can give me a draft for the second Maddox charity application. So I have asked if I can have that in time for the next STC meeting. I can't promise yet because I haven't had a response, but I am pursuing that.
Yeah, well, I would say these consultants, advisors who have been appointed about 18 months ago, the performance isn't really satisfactory. We are not experts. We went to them as experts. And I think we've got to the stage now where we're backing a single horse in a race. And I think we need to back some other horses and get some other views as well. And even we had offers from Girlings or other solicitors as well to help with the establishment of this charity. And I really think, we ought to spend some money, if necessary, to get this charity established over the line as quickly as possible.
So what I would ask that we do is clarify the response from them. So if I recall, it was back in January that we had it rejected. We agreed it at STC probably in March, was it?
It was, before I went away.
So between March and May, so they've had 2 months to redraft from a higher base than they originally started, and it was just about removing the contentious pieces, wasn't it? So I'm just slightly confused about why 2 months have elapsed, and
I can explain that because I
that's
was
fine.
away on annual leave.
Okay.
So there was nobody here to take up what we wanted to happen. So even though we communicated just before I went away the council decision, it wasn't clear whether or not they were expecting us to draft or they were going to draft. So I've clarified that since I came back from leave.
Okay.
I'm told now that it's all in progress, but I can't tell you yet if I can have that for the next STC meeting. That's what I've asked, if we can have the draft ready for the next STC meeting.
Right, okay, which is on
23rd of June.
Which is 3 weeks from now.
Yeah.
Is that acceptable? If they hit the 23rd, hit it in time, then, well, it actually needs to be a number of days before.
That's a redraft to make an application. So that could be June, July, August. It could be into September, and we've not got any insurance or guarantee. So, I do propose that when it comes in, we take a second sounding, because I don't know how many of us are really qualified to be able to comment on this. Having been through the process so far and done our best. So I think we ought to employ somebody else.
So, sorry, let's just clarify what you mean by that, Councillor Breen. So when you say second sounding, do you mean a review by a other party of what's been produced as opposed to drafting something separately?
Well, yeah, I think the other party should review what Levics or whatever they're called provide, because, I don't think that we're really qualified to sign it off.
Okay. Yeah.
Should you on that? Are you content with that?
Yeah, I mean, I can get some quotes for doing that.
We will need
and then,
to do that.
Yeah.
So that can be in line with the STC as well, because that will take a little bit of time. So, Councillor Anderson.
Yes, I think there's been a quite extraordinary delay. It's been going on for a good year, 18 months. And it's really extraordinary. But I would like to go back and reconsider basic principles, because I'm not convinced of the merit, the immediate merit of putting this money into a charity. I just don't see why, given that we've got all this money, we can't start spending it. Why do we have to wait until this money is located within a charity? It doesn't seem to me to be necessary. And I know Councillor Gray, I know he's not here, and he may be listening, but I know he is of the view that it isn't essential for us to have put this money into a charity before we start to spend it, because the money was left to the town council. It wasn't left to a charity. And that's part of the issue that we've had over this period of trying to set up a charity when it may not actually be strictly necessary.
Yeah. I was just saying, the thing is, if you have investments and you're not a charity, they're taxable. And that's the reason why it's charity. So the investments, when we get the investment, will not be taxable. That's argument.
Councillor Anderson.
Yes, I accept that in the long run, there is an issue.
Could be a lot of
It
tax.
would be preferable for this money to be located within a charity. But I know that there are lots of organisations in Sandwich they're waiting for this money to come on stream. They want to make applications, and we as councillors want to make judgments about where we want this money to be spent in the first year. So I really don't see why we couldn't, until we get registered as a charity, get this money registered as a charity. I mean, we should pursue, perhaps with Councillor Green's advice, that we go to yet another set of advisors. We should pursue the route of trying to become a charity, but at the same time, for the next 6 months or so, we should simply invite applications and distribute the sum that we think is appropriate.
So I don't know if Town Clerk's got a view, but I've got a view.
I think it sounds simple, but it's actually quite complex. And what I would say is there are tax implications, and you know, that was the advice, because I asked the question. I did ask the question.
You
Yeah,
asked on my behalf.
that's right.
But all I'm saying is, if in the short term, say over the next 6 months, we simply distribute, we decide on a sum that we wish to distribute, and it could be £40,000, that's been mentioned, and invite applications.
So,
And at the same time,
yeah.
pursue the charitable route.
So my personal view, I'll come to you, Councillor Marie, is that we set off on a track which was that we were going to set up a charity to support the money, to midway through change route, or at least put in some sort of fire break, will present a number of issues, because what we will need is a process. We'll need agreed ways in which we're going to distribute money, how we're going to invite, all of that is a process that needs to be done. The committee is, I believe, have we got a date already arranged for the Maddox?
Yes, it's in
Yeah.
the schedule.
So, yeah, and that has to be the starting point of working through the management arrangements for charity or otherwise. So to say that for the next 6 months we should be able to hand money out, it's not simple. There's a lot of work we have to do as a council, as trustee, if it's going to be a charity. So let's not try and simplify something and just say that we can take some money out. And if somebody wants to bring a report to the next STC with a proposal of what might be feasible and legal and actually doesn't undermine the charity status, I'm happy to entertain that, rather than us here say, good idea, let's go and find an amount of money and look at handing it out. Councillor Green.
Yeah, could that somebody be the town clerk? If the town clerk asks this question as well as the other question to the second consultant. So ask, is these objectives going to get us an established charity? And number two, in the interim, can we dish out some money?
Thank you.
Councillor Forrest.
So it's nearly 4 years since Georgina passed away. And I've been concerned about the delays on this for some time. What the will says is that the remaining 70% share of the estate should go to Sandwich Town Council to be used by them for the benefit of such local community groups, organisations and good causes as they shall in their absolute discretion think fit. I never understood why we needed a separate charity when we have a perfectly good charity called the Tollbridge Fund, which would have streamlined the organisation. The money could have all gone into there and we have a single trustee instead of getting more bureaucracy.
Sorry.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. My concern is there's a couple of things. We do need to set up a charity on a separate entity for the Georgina Maddox Fund. It cannot go into the Tollbridge because they're eaten up. My apologies if this may annoy people, but some of the Tollbridge Fund money is paid wages to the officers within this council. Never liked it, never have done, and I do, and that's a charity in itself. The other thing, it's taken too long. Yes, it's been annoying for everybody, but we have to get it right. And the most important thing for the council and this charity is the governance of it and making sure it's given correctly and the transparency of the Maddox Fund money to go to the gap, because otherwise we will get it in the neck from residents and other people and organisations if we don't do it correctly. And that's the method. Yes, it's annoying, and I do feel, and I do agree with what Councillor Quinn said. We need to review the new application and get someone else to essentially proofread that, make sure it's correct, so we get it right. We should have got it right the first time. Sadly, we didn't. However, we need to make it move forward and make sure this is right for the people of Sandwich. That's what the whole idea of the money is for. It's what Gina gave to the town. It's put back into the town to make the town thrives, as it were.
Yeah, thank you. So I'll come to Councillor Pennington in a second, but just picking up on that point, if we all recall, the start of this journey was very much about our lessons learned through the Tollbridge Fund.
Yes.
And keeping it separate and setting up a charity and actually wearing the hat of the trustees in terms of managing the money. We are now, through frustration and unacceptable delays, trying to change midstream. I would find that personally difficult, but others are able, if they want, to present an argument through a report as to why that should be done. The town clerk can check the ability from a legal perspective, but I would expect, if there's a strong feeling from a councillor or a group of councillors, they should do the report and properly articulate why it needs to be different. This is where we started, and this is where we should end up, in my opinion. But I am only one of 16. Councillor Pennington.
Thank you. I think we should keep the debate purely in terms of interim measures. But we did have, at Councillor Black's suggestion, an interim funding system, which had its own procedures, as Councillor Wiles knows. And I don't see why we couldn't use those procedures again for a small amount of money to make a transition. And I hope that when the town clerk checks with this review of the proposals, that we can get a view on that.
So what I would ask, again in response, the town clerk can check the question, but I would ask a report from a councillor or a group of councillors that argues why this should be the case, because any move from the protecting of the money is open to criticism from outside this room, and we have to collectively understand what's been proposed and collectively support it. So we have to do it in steps rather than rush in and say we're going to put 40,000 aside and give the money out. That's my view, but others can argue with that and vote against that.
Yeah, I'll completely agree with this there, because if we start doing these interim payments, some of the councils are actually involved in some of these projects, and then we get called favouritism, won't we? We can't have favouritism, must be above board, cut and dry, put it for the charity and sort it out. Don't dib in and do anything, just get it all sorted out properly. They've never had the money before, they just have to wait like everyone else.
Thank you. So I think we'll close. We've had a good, healthy debate about that. People can reflect on whether they want to generate a report and bring that to the next meeting. But in front of us are 3 reports that we're asked to look at. And the first, again, was, but subject to the suggestion from Councillor Green of retaining a small amount. Is somebody happy to propose
I propose Councillor Green's,
for 40,000 to remain?
Second it.
Well, what I was saying is we send 650,000 and we use the balance then to top up
the
the 28,000 that we're
Yeah.
already holding, which will give us just over.
So,
40.
I second that.
seconded.
I'd like to know why we want this sum of money. What's it for?
Well, we're going to have to procure and appoint solicitors, clerks. We're going to have to set up a website. There's a whole raft of things that we're going to have to do. And if we send money off and put it into investments, well, then we'll be wanting to take it out, hopefully, if we can get this done, we'll want to be taking it out in a few months' time. And it just seems to me to be double handling.
And just to add into that, there is a consideration to be decided by STC as whether we actually clerk the Maddox charity separately from us being an extra task on the town council staff.
Yes, already a charge to the town council for the work they've done over the past few years.
Yeah.
When you're finance officer.
Yeah, there hasn't been any of that
Charge.
done. There hasn't been, because no one's had time to actually
Yeah.
count the number of hours that we're doing things.
And it's twofold, the issue. It's not just about charging, Councillor Franklin, it's also about the time that's being invested and whether we get a dedicated resource to clerk.
Yeah, I was just thinking of the caretaker,
Yeah.
people that's been going around
Yeah.
and checking it and everything,
Agree.
and the clerk and the RFO.
Yeah. Agree. Okay, so on the first one, we've got a slight amendment, and it's been seconded.
Yeah.
Happy to vote on that. It's unanimous. Okay. Second report relates to the completion report from the solicitors Mole and Mole following the sale. Members invited to note the report. Hopefully this one will be a little bit quicker. Oh no, there's a comment from Councillor White, I think.
Okay. It's like that, is it?
No, it's not.
No. Where do we find it end up with overage and how long does it last for?
25 years.
Which is what we asked for.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes,
Okay.
yes.
Thank you.
Propose. Second, Councillor
Sorry,
Wiles.
who proposed?
Yeah, sorry, we're going a bit too quick. Councillor Marie proposed
you.
it. Councillor Wiles seconded it.
Thank you.
And we've all agreed to that.
Yeah.
And the third report, executors for the estate of the late Georgina Maddox have now prepared an estate account on winding up the estate. So as far as possible to the 1st of April 2025, stated that £540,097.61 is due to STC. Members are asked to approve the accounts as the Town Council are required to sign an agreement, as are other beneficiaries, before any further funds can be distributed to all beneficiaries. Any comments? Councillor Wiles, I can see your hand.
So just a query about the distribution account. 115,000 goes to Sandwich United Charities.
Yes.
The will talks about St Bartholomew's
Yes.
Chapel, which is a small
Under-
part of SUC.
Yeah.
Has that been checked legally that SUC gets the money and not? I don't see how the chapel itself can get the money, but
No.
it is a legal point.
So I haven't verified anything. This has come from the executors.
Okay.
So if this is the point tonight, if there are any queries at all, this is your last chance to raise them. And if you do, then that will obviously hold up. You can't sign
So
them off.
It's just Georgina's wish was that the chapel gets the money, not
Which sits
the
within
bigger
the,
charity.
which
Yeah.
sits within the Sandwich.
So yeah, sorry, just to clarify, so the Sandwich United Charities runs the almshouses and the chapel.
Yeah.
So the charity, the Sandwich United Charities, will get the beneficiary
Yeah.
for it.
It's just a pedantic point,
But good to ask.
I was just going to say, I think the disabled toilet and new little kitchen in the chapel is going to
Benefit from
that.
that. Okay.
And new kneelers.
Okay, somebody happy to propose this
Propose.
report? And second, Councillor Green. And voting.
Yeah, I would just make it for everybody to note that the executors are still holding £75,000 provision.
I'm abstaining.
Abstaining. Okay.
One abstain. Okay.
Does anybody know where Georgina's Maddox plaque that
Yes.
cost £775 is?
The plaque, I know where a graveyard plaque is.
Well, no, there's £775 whilst it's small beer, but it refers to £775 spent on a memorial plaque.
It's on the ashes, actually.
Yeah,
Is it?
that's what I think.
Which
it is.
are-
Yeah.
It's in Clement's Church.
Okay,
I'll show you when you.
that's very kind of you. Thank you. Okay, so we've covered that. Agenda item 18, District Council Services. This relates to Standing Order 6.6.6. Devil's in the detail. Town clerk to provide a verbal update on the outcome following formal invitation shared with DDC councillors.
Just to confirm, Mr Mayor, I've had no responses, and I know Councillor Morehouse obviously is here this evening, and but I haven't had any responses from
Okay.
Councillor Morehouse.
So
or
can we
Councillor
defer that to next month's meeting when there's sufficient time to do that? Okay. Agenda item 19, date for annual town council meeting next year. Town clerk to seek agreement for the proposed date of 14th of May 2026. Anybody have to propose that?
Recommend approval.
Second, Councillor Wiles.
Mhm.
Yep, unanimous. Thank you very much. Date of next full council meeting, 23rd of June 2025. And thank you for galloping through that quarter to nine. Fantastic. Thank you very much. It's still daylight.
Meeting closed.
Meeting
Yeah.
closed.
Yeah.
Yes.